Who's your candidate? Hi, my name is Tana McCoy and I am running for the 3rd District. I would appreciate and be grateful for your vote on April 18th. Please get out and vote. April 18th, Tana McCoy for 3rd District Councilman.
Ms. McCoy, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for asking.
What we're doing here with Who's Your Candidate is we're identifying all the candidates. We want to know who's running, identify faces with names, and ask general questions just so the people know who's in office.
Okay.
So first thing I want to ask you is, who is Tana McCoy?
Tana McCoy is a Compton resident that raised her family here. I came to the city of Compton when I was 12 years old. I moved with my dad, so I attended Enterprise Middle School and graduated from Compton High. I went to Compton College, Associated Business College. Again, I raised my children here. I have 3 children. They went to Compton Unified School District for a period of time, and then I put them in other school systems. But my grandchildren are here, and they're at Compton Unified School District. So Tana McCoy is, I worked for the city of Compton for 40 years. I started when I was 16 as a student worker, and we had a government class, and you could work in half of the day. And so I started working at City Hall at that time. Once I graduated, I was offered a position, so I worked part-time in the council's office. And then once I completed school, then I became full-time employee for the city. I worked for 30 years for the mayor and council, and the last 10 years I worked in the water department. And so I retired to accept this, when the position came open, Councilwoman Arsenal, which is the council person that I actually worked for, she retired, and so someone contacted me and said, Councilwoman Arsenal is retired, would you be interested? At the time I was going through a difficult time. My son was really ill. And so I said, I'll pray about it and get back with you. And so I continued. They reached out again, and then at that point, I was like, well, okay, I'll try, even though, like I said, my son was really ill. During that period, he passed away.
Oh,
yeah, thank you very much. I only had one son, but, during that time, I was in Bethesda, Maryland with him. He was a patient at the National Institute of Health, and so he knew about it, and he was like, Mom, that's exactly for you. That's what you should be doing. So that was really one of the pushes for me to move forward.
Have you always wanted to be in government?
Not at all. I worked for the council, again, like I said, 30 years. Never, ever did I say I wanted to be an elected official. People used to ask, are you going to ever run? And I'd be like, nope, nope, not going to run. I'm a good behind the scenes kind of person. But when I was offered the opportunity, I had to actually ask myself, if you want to make a change and you have the opportunity and you don't take it, then you're just like everybody else who wants to complain and not do anything. So that's exactly why I took the position. What
has been some of the most difficult tasks as District 3 council member?
Well, right now, of course, we're going through a difficult time because we have a lot of infrastructure issues. And what I fast learned is no matter what you do, you can't please everybody. So, people will call and say, oh, you need to do this. And I would, make an attempt or do it. And then if it wasn't, then if something else went, oh, no, that's not what you want to do. So what I had to learn is to stay true to what the mission is. And the mission is what's best for the city. And so no matter what, my decisions are always based on what is best for the city. It's not personal. It has nothing to do with what I want. It has everything to do with what's best for this community. Like I said, I live here, my children live here, my grandchildren live here. And so I want to do what's best for this city.
Now, some citizens would argue that some things are personal.
Yes.
And that some bills may be passed based on who presents them and friends and associates. What's your take on that?
It could be, because again, we're people too. Me, whenever I'm making a decision, whenever, my first thing is to pray. The next thing is to, and then say, okay, is this what's best for the community? Because it has to be what's best for the community. If you base your decisions each time on what's best for the community, whether everybody agrees with you or not, you know that you've done the right thing. So it's not what's best for what I personally want. It's what is best for the city. So that's what I base my decisions on. And yes, it can get personal because, sometimes people want something, a particular, something passed. But, if I don't think that is something that's going to benefit the community, then, I'm going to have to go against it. If I think it's something, no matter who presents it, if I think it's something that is best for the community, then I'm going to vote for it,
What's your favorite thing about District 3?
District 3, well, I grew up in the district, and I actually represent the district that I grew up in.
That's nice.
That's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I grew up on Prella, right around the corner from, it's Burrell McDonald Park, but it was West Park then. And so I grew up right there, and so, and I always thought that when I worked for the city, that District 3, Councilwoman Arsenault was very, very vigilant with her district, and so, she fought for her district, and that's what I plan to do, is make sure that I put the same fight into it as that she did, to make sure that you're not going to leave out District 3. And so, when I, recently, we were talking about the potholes and all that. Well, they had passed a list of streets that there was a plan to repair. And so when the list was presented, and the list was put together before I was on the council, so when the list was presented, there weren't a lot of District 3 streets on there. So I asked the city manager, okay, we need to go back and make sure District 3 is equal. I don't care if they have 4, I want 4.
Right.
And so, yeah, I'm going to always make sure that District 3 is covered,
Okay, and what is something that you would love to change about District 3?
Well, it's just a few things. Last year we were really, really riddled with crime, and so if anything, we have the best district sheriff. Rayford Owens is a minister here, but he is also the sheriff for District 3. And so I know that he is always in the community. He's out there. People know him. But what I need to change is we've had, a little bit of crime last year. And so thank God we haven't had any this year. But what I want to change is I want to make sure that people know that our district is safe and our parks are safe, and it's a place for you to come and be with your family and not have to worry.
The difference between actually campaigning and being appointed to the position. This is your first campaign?
This is my first campaign.
Okay. So far, how's it been?
It's different. Again, what I said to you, I get a little criticism sometimes because they say I don't speak up or I don't talk. I know what I'm doing, and I know what I'm going to do. I don't think that sometimes, I don't, voice it right there on the podium, but I've already made up my mind. And so as soon as either I've already addressed it with the city manager or I'm going to address it with the city manager. And so the campaigning part is something because, sometimes people are on the attack, and so they're saying, oh, you don't do this or you don't know what you're doing and all of that. And so I'm not the one, if you ever watch council meeting, I'm not the one to bicker. I'm more about, in order for us to accomplish anything, we have to get along and at least respect each other. Right. Whether you like me or not, if you respect each other's opinion, if you respect that everybody has the same interest in the city, and that's to make the city better, then you can move forward. And so I don't like the bickering and the negativity and the name calling, but I do like that I'm out there and I'm meeting more of my citizens. I know a lot of people in the city. I grew up here. I went to school here. I know a lot of people, right. But there are people now that I'm getting to meet. And again, I worked at City Hall for 40 years, so 30 of the years with the council. I know a lot of people out there, but now I'm getting to actually either reacquaint myself or actually talk to people that I haven't had a chance to talk to.
Sounds interesting.
It is very interesting. Very, very. It is, because sometimes you're not always well received,
Right.
So you have to, be up for that part too. Okay, well, thank you for listening to me anyway, kind of thing. But yeah, everybody is not receptive, and sometimes people have a negative thoughts about politicians in general. And so what I tell people is, I'm not a politician. I'm not. I'm a public servant. And so there is a difference. And so I'm not a politician.
How does your family respond to you being in office, maybe catching some slack here and there?
I'm working on them. I have
Okay.
2 daughters. My son passed, but I have 2 daughters, and I have 10 grandchildren. And so, yeah, so my children, I have to tell them over and over again, don't take it personal. Don't take it personal, And for the most part, I just try to do the same thing. I don't take it personal. Some people have preconceived ideas of what a politician is, or, what a person who is in a seat is. And so I just tell them, don't take it personal. And for the most part, they understand that, Every now and then somebody might say something to ruffle their feathers, but, I'm their mom, and so I just, kind of soothe them, calm them down, and say, yeah, don't worry about that. We know who we are. And so I know who I am.
Well, let's talk about who Tana McCoy is. What does Tana McCoy do for fun?
Oh gosh, spend time with those 10 grandchildren. Today is one of my grandchildren's, my son's daughter. Today is her birthday. Yesterday, the kids went to Knoxbury Farm, and for the first time in, I promise, probably about all of their birthdays, Granny did not go. And but for the most part, that's what I do for fun. I spend time with them. We hang out. We usually on Sundays we come to the house, and I cook, or we jointly cook, and we hang out. I love movies. Me and my friends. My husband passed away a couple of years ago, but I love going to the movies. I love going, out to the park. So that's what Tana McCoy does for fun. Hang out with her family and do things. My dad is still with me, and so I go and spend time with him. That's a blessing to just have him with me.
What's your favorite movie?
Oh gosh, well we actually I like the fairy tale movies. So Beauty and the Beast and Cinderella, and I like that with the kids. Although I have 7 grandsons, so my grandson has me into Transformers. So yeah, I have 7 grandsons, and so Transformers is another favorite.
Yeah, I just took my daughter to go see Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, okay.
She loved it.
Oh, yes, that's great. And we were invited to the play. The charter school did a play. It was excellent, excellent. Celebrity, a charter school. Celerity Charter School. They did Beauty and the Beast. It was excellent. And so I took my 2 granddaughters with me. So they enjoyed it. So now I have to take them to the movie.
Favorite song?
The first thing that popped into my mind was "I Will Always Love You."
Okay. Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston. "I Will Always Love You."
Favorite. Okay. Favorite book.
Favorite book. I love to read. Even though I have an iPad and a Kindle, I still like the books in my hand. And so let's see, what is my favorite, all-time favorite that I can read over and over again? I would say Zora Neale Hurston. And I can't think of the name of it, but it is one of my favorite books. And I have it on my bookshelf, so I will look. Now I have to go back and say, now what's the name of the book? But it's an older book, but it's very good. Their Eyes Were Watching God. Their eyes were watching there you go.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
City council meetings.
Oh.
Now, people consider them not to be as professional. Would you agree?
We could do better. We could do better. And I'm working on that.
How can Tana McCoy do better?
I can interject behind closed doors, what we should be doing, the persona that we should be putting out there. I'm the newest member on the council, but I'm not the youngest member on the council. So I could interject a little more of what we could do to put on a better image for the city.
Do you think age plays a part?
No, because, there are some very, very mature people no matter what age they are. So no, it doesn't play a part. It's just that, and what do they say? If you sometimes look back at yourself on tape, then you see, you see more. And so, I'm not one who argues, and so I don't argue, on the floor. Now, don't get me wrong, I get my point across when I have to, but, on the floor, I just don't want to put that out there. I'm, again, more of a, say what I need to say behind the scenes so that it can be done. I don't believe, I was an employee, so I don't believe in putting the employees out there and, kind of raking them over the coals either. But I do believe that, there's some problems in City Hall that we need to deal with, and so that is one of the things that I'm dealing with the city manager. When I first came, we had policies and procedures that we followed, and so I'm really back to, we got to get back to basics, following the policies and procedures, setting them, making sure. And so what I could do better is to interject what I think that looks better for the city.
Now, aside from the mayoral race, your race in District 3 has the most candidates.
Yes.
Why?
I think people view this as a really a seat up for grabs.
Okay.
Even though I'm in the seat, I'm not an incumbent. I'm an incumbent because they appointed me. But, Miss Arsenault, Councilwoman Arsenault did not have, she had competitors, but she didn't have all of this because she had been in the seat for, she was served for 22 years. So when you have a seat that you think is up for grabs, then, people tend to, everybody throws their hat in the race and say, oh, yep, I could do what she does, if she could do it, I could do it,
Do you think that image comes off across as anyone can do this job?
Sometimes people think that, I've listened to, some of the just in general, just some of the statements, well, when I get there, if I'm elected, I can do this, I'm going to, work with education, I'm going to do this, and, you need to know your roles because, education is a totally separate board. We have no control over education, but yet people say, well, I'm going to improve education, I'm going to do this, And so people look at what you do and they think that you could do it. And, you get criticized sometimes for the decisions you make. And so on one instance, I did have a citizen who contacted me and said, you shouldn't have done that. And I said, but you don't have all the information. You don't know all the other things that I do know. So, I based my decision on all the information that was presented to me. It looks easy to say yes or no, but it's really not because you have to think of all the effects that go along with it. When you vote for a bond or not for a bond, you have to look at the whole picture and decide whether it's best for the community. But on top, I think when I first came, we voted to extend a bond and pay off a payment. And, I got criticized. But the thing is, what they didn't know is if we didn't do that, refinance that bond, we were going to be faced with a balloon payment of, close to $4 million. And so, we had to stretch it out. And so that's what we did, So it's not as easy as it looks,
Right. Okay, so now we have Chris Petit, Robert Ray, Joyce Kelly, and Thomas Carlos, all running for District 3.
Yes.
What separates you from the rest?
I've been in City Hall, again, 40 years. So I know the inside and I know the outside. I worked for the council for 30 of those years. So I was trained. I was trained well. Some of my predecessors, I followed, I watched, I was right there by their side. So, I was trained well. What I have said is, this is what God was training me for. And so I know the government side, but I also know inside City Hall and the things that need to be changed, that needs to be fixed, just the basic things that could just make the city better.
How has District 3 directly benefited from your involvement or you being on board?
Well, I again, I'm really active in the district. I'm really active with the parks. I do programs. I've done quite a few programs in the district, just to bring the district together. I did a movie in the park, just for families, so that, people could come out in the park. It was twofold, to make people feel safe in their community. You don't come to the park if you don't feel safe.
Right.
And so I did a movie in the park just so that people could bring their families out and watch a movie in the park with their children. And we had hot dogs. It was we had sponsors, so it was no cost to the city. I had sponsors, and so that was one of the things that I've done. I've done, different events. I'm doing a Hometown Heroes. Years ago, one of my council people used to do a Hometown Heroes, and, we recognized like the entertainers and all of that come from the city, but not the people who are day-to-day who've made a difference. And so
Right.
that's what I'm doing. I'm doing a Hometown Heroes, honoring some people. Miss Pleasant, you just saw here, she's worked for the city for 30-something years, but, she does so much more. She's always volunteering. She's always giving, of her money and her time. She'll just, because of the guys in the yard, I know you guys work hard, and she's a caterer just by nature. And so she'll go and prepare a grand meal at no cost, to anyone. She just, she'll go and solicit her own donors. You guys are going to need to help me feed these people. She has a love for the seniors, and she's even, even since I've been on the council, you have to do this for my seniors. You have to do this for my seniors. So, we're honoring her. People like that have made a difference. That we know that they're here, and they're here because they want to be. So.
Now, there's a lot of new millennials, or not new millennials, there's a lot of millennials that are starting their own businesses. A lot of them come from the city. Is there anything, or how can you aid them to start their business or bring their business here to Compton?
Well, one of the things that I did a couple of months ago, I did a business mixer. And so with that, you invite people